This is a Fox News alert from America's News headquarters. I'm John Scott. At least 2 people are dead in Alabama, many others injured after tornadoes tear through several states this afternoon. Lee County, Alabama, particularly hard hit by a huge twister that roared through about 6 hours ago, 2 p.m. on this Sunday afternoon. Many people were home enjoying their Sunday dinners when the tornado spun out of the sky. An Alabama coroner says he expects the number of deaths will rise as search crews comb through rubble and debris. We've still got people being pulled out of rubble, said one of the emergency responders, and the Lee County coroner, Bill Harris, said people are going to be working all night as a result of those tornadoes. Local media puts the death toll much higher than two, but we have not independently confirmed those numbers. Rita Smith is the public information officer for Lee County, Alabama Emergency Management Agency. She tells Fox News there have been a lot of loss of life and injuries. They cannot confirm specific numbers at this time. She added that they are conducting numerous search and rescue operations in the county, especially in the town of Smith Station, Alabama. The National Weather Service has declared tornado emergencies both in Alabama and Georgia. There also are tornado warnings in Florida and South Carolina. Even the towns of Charleston, the cities of Charleston and Columbia, under tornado watches yet this evening. It is a favorable environment for tornadoes. A huge squall line moved through the area. Big, mature storms with low-level winds very strong, and that tends to get the things spiraling, and that's what grows tornadoes. That is apparently what has happened in this on this early day in March. 6 to 8 people reportedly injured so far, but the number of dead has not yet been confirmed. Again, many of the buildings that were toppled and crushed are still being searched tonight. And obviously, when there is not very much power, power lines have been torn down, power poles snapped and uprooted. So it's difficult for rescuers in the darkness to do thorough searches very quickly. It's likely going to be morning and perhaps even later tomorrow before we know precisely how many have been killed in Lee County, Lee County, Alabama, as a result of that huge tornado that hit there this afternoon. More than 42,000 homes and businesses without electricity. Reports of widespread damage in southeastern Alabama as well. Tornado warnings were posted across parts of Alabama, Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina as that storm system raged through. Radar and video evidence showed what looked like a large tornado moving across Lee County about 2 p.m. this afternoon. That was about 6 hours ago. And again, the coroner said he's got about 150 first responders out there in Lee County. But she says, this is Rita Smith, the spokeswoman for the Lee County Emergency Management Agency, says, sadly, that we know we have 2 known confirmed fatalities and many, many injuries. Local media reports say as many as 10 fatalities have taken place there in Lee County, Alabama. Dozens of emergency responders have been called in to assist, and the worst of the damage, although it appears to have been this afternoon, there are still storm warnings out for this evening. And in the darkness, that is particularly terrifying. People are being urged to listen to their weather radios, frankly, just listen to what's going on outside and be ready to go into their storm shelters in Alabama if that becomes necessary. Once again, 2 people are known dead, many others injured, but there could be as many as 10, perhaps more, fatalities. That's what local media are reporting there in Alabama. The number of dead expected to rise, according to Lee County Coroner Bill Harris. He says that the people are still being pulled out of rubble as they attempt to rescue anybody that they can and to assess how many fatalities have already taken place. That large tornado crossed near Beauregard about 2 p.m. This afternoon. That according to the National Weather Service. It has not been absolutely verified as a tornado yet, but it's pretty unmistakable, the kind of damage that has been seen as a result of this storm. Smashed buildings, rooftops blown away, cars overturned, debris tossed everywhere, and that's just in the area of Alabama. I mentioned last hour that Fort Benning, Georgia, apparently was also struck by either very powerful straight-line winds or a tornado. There was a youth bowling tournament underway at Fort Benning at the time, and 60 young people had to shelter in the back of the bowling alley because it was apparently being torn apart by the very high winds. So once again, at least 2 people killed by a possible tornado in Alabama, many others injured after tornadoes continued to tear through several states. 150 people are working right now in Lee County, and we just got word that one Alabama sheriff is confirming the number of dead in that state stands at 14. That was the fear, the worst fear is being realized by authorities after a huge tornado tears through Lee County. We are now being told by an Alabama sheriff that at least 14 people are dead. Jonathan Seri is based in Atlanta for us, has an update for us now live on what is the situation there. Jonathan?
Yeah, good evening. This was a nasty storm system. I was actually in Alabama covering an unrelated story, the 54th anniversary march over the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma, Alabama. And midday, there was a torrential downpour and the tornado siren started going off. There was, in fact, a tornado warning in the area. Now, the weather cleared just before the march across the bridge was to begin, and there were no reports of any significant damage in that immediate area. But it was further to the east near the Alabama state, Georgia state line that you saw the most severe damage from these tornadoes, where you had the highest death toll. Reports of heavily damaged buildings in Lee County, right there on the Alabama-Georgia line. And then in central Georgia, in the town of Talbotton, Georgia, WAGA Fox 5 Atlanta is reporting that what appears to be a tornado completely leveled a church there. No one was inside at the time. They don't believe that there were any injuries. However, this was a sturdy cinder block building that had been used in previous years as a storm shelter, completely leveled to the ground. So obviously a very powerful storm system moving through this part of the southeast.
The Lee County Sheriff, Jonathan Seri, says the tornado damage, the tornado was on the ground, leaving a path of destruction several miles long and up to 1/4 of a mile wide. Just an absolutely monstrous tornado. And according to the sheriff there in Lee County, Alabama, Jay Jones, at least 14 people in his community are dead tonight.